I think that depression, we see a lot of depression in adolescents these days, both male and female.
Yeah.
ADHD, young boys and girls are put on Ritalin and ADHD medications because they're not concentrating. So that to me, that would be blood sugar issues, which again goes to the adrenals and possibly the thyroid.
Eating butter lowers cortisol. And that's something that I personally have felt when I'm stressed out or I feel a little bit irritable. I eat butter straight out of the fridge and I feel immediately better. Could you go more in depth about that, Dr. Bright?
We make all our steroid hormones out of cholesterol. So that's the master ingredient. And it has to be animal fat. And as different steroid hormones are metabolized, your endocrine system responds by making cortisol for you to adapt to the stress, to handle the stress, not to freeze in fight or flight mode, right? You don't want to freeze because then you'll get eaten. So you send vasomotor, you have a hot flash, your liver is producing sugar for you to have energy to run. All that's happening, and your cortisol is really high. So the fat will address that by replenishing the stress response. So you don't run out of the stress response, because running out of the stress response is stressful. And there's a study that they did with athletes, 2 weeks on a high-fat diet and 2 weeks on a high-carb diet. And they pushed them to the max. And obviously, exercising, training raises your cortisol level because your body sees it as stress. And those that ate a high-fat diet, they measured their cortisol levels over a 2-week period, had lower cortisol levels.
Oh my goodness. So could we say that fat is like an aphrodisiac? No. We just have a little something going that way, gets everybody relaxed in a calm state.
Yeah. Well, I talked to a woman today who said her eyes lit up when she started eating fat. So I just think it's energy, really. Everything needs energy.
Yes.
So there's ways to actually measure cortisol?
Yes, absolutely. Not blood, not serum. Salivary cortisol is the best way.
Salivary. Okay, that's good.
You might want to measure your circadian rhythm. So your cortisol, your adrenals produce, your adrenal cortex, which is the part of the adrenal, not the medulla, produces the cortisol. It starts producing about 2 a.m, very gentle, amount of cortisol, and it's supposed to peak in the morning. So it's a gentle rise. The people that wake at 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning are having cortisol spikes because it's not able to make this gentle upward curve until you reach this apex in the morning. And then that's when it's supposed to be higher. And then it gently goes down until nighttime when you go to sleep. And that's when melatonin is produced. So you can't have melatonin and cortisol at the same time. It's one or the other. So if cortisol levels are high at night, you won't sleep. You'll be wired but tired.
Wired but tired.
And the way to measure that is to do a salivary cortisol test. I always recommend a 4-point salivary cortisol test to see if you're able to follow the rhythm.
Ooh.
Ah, I love that.
And so what this reserve, like this fat reserve that we're kind of replenishing, it just helps nice, smooth, even journey.
Yeah, smooths it out. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.